Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you're listening to us from. I want to welcome everybody to Recovery Live, our weekly live stream where we talk everything addiction and recovery. My name is Tom Williams. I'm a recovered alcoholic addict. We've got a great show today. We're going to be looking back at Sober St. Patrick's Day, the event that we partnered with in New York City on St. Patrick's Day. Talk a lot about probably St. Patrick's Days in the past for us. And probably I can't remember them for whatever reason. But we had a great day. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. We have a retreat coming up in Nevada City in May. Want everybody to just keep that on their radar, especially if you're out west and you want to come and hear the program of the founders. It's May 5th through the 7th in Nevada City. It's a beautiful location at a Salvation Army camp called Del Oro. Probably one of the nicest facilities of the entire system. Although Dee in the UK say there's a place in the UK where it's really nice. I have yet to see it, so I don't know. But that's our next event is going to be that. And it's in May. So we're looking forward to it. We want everybody coming. Then after that, we're going to be out in Arizona at Prescott. Up on the mountain there where it's nice and cool, even though it'll be 100 in Phoenix. It's a little cooler out there. So keep an eye on the schedule for things. There's a lot of stuff in the works, guys, that are going to start popping up, especially in the New York area and the California Bay Area and in Los Angeles. Things coming up. We'll be adding events all the time. Today, I'm going to bring on two co-hosts today, a co-host and a co-hostess. From Christmas, Florida, one of our companion Sober St. Patrick's Day marchers, Dale Barker, is joining us today.
Hey there, Tom.
Good. And another one of our marchers from Hampton, New Jersey, Lisa Haskins is joining us.
Wow, you got Hampton. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was thinking that was going to be pulled that one out of the hat. I must be looking at your address for some reason the other day. We had a great time, guys, at Sober St. Patrick's Day. So we want to talk a bit about it and just tell you about what we did and what it meant to us. And Casara actually made a little video which captures a lot of the excitement of the day, and we'll show that to you in a minute. But Casara's there with us, and Donna and Sharon and Marty. We had a team from Came to Believe there, and we all had a great day. I mean, it was a long day, right, Lisa?
It was long. Yes, It was fun.
As Dale and I were standing at the train station in Convent Station, New Jersey, and I was reminiscing with Dale about, when I was in high school, this is where we used to come when I had to miss the train, and getting the text from Lisa that they missed their train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw it. We waved to it. Couldn't make it.
Our master plan of all being on the same train heading into New York City, dead sober, all of us, couldn't make it happen, right? That's kind of funny. But Donna and Sharon were on that train out of Morristown, so we jumped on that, and we had a wonderful ride in. And like 20 minutes later, Lisa and Casara joined us in Penn Station, and that's when the day started. What do you think, Lisa? Should we show the video first to kind of give us a little context to talk about? Then we want to remind everybody, Lisa, that we want to maybe we want to do a little poll today about changing the time and talk about that.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. I meant to talk to you about that earlier. So yes, that would be good.
Yeah, we'll wait till a few more people are on, guys, but we do have some ideas about it, and for some reasons that we'll talk about why we want to try to change the time. But let's see, because Sarah put this video together, and it's really fun. So let's see the Sober St. Patrick's Day video.
All right, let's see.
Montage. So did you guys all in the audience notice that the Pope showed up for us?
He's so one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Hi, Tim from Florida. Tim Lewick's on. Anna, good to see you, Anna. And Jamie's with us as usual. Who else is on? I bet Sonny's going to show up, right, Anna? Where's Sonny? Well, that brought some memories back. I don't know about you guys.
It feels like a very long time ago, but it was really just a week ago. Yeah, it was good. It was fun. We met. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm standing at the table talking to people, and they're all like, "I have 20 years. I have 15 years." I'm like, "Wow, we're in the right place." And I was like, "Well, yeah, it's over St. Pat's. Like, who else is there?" Like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. So. But it was great. I mean, I had some awesome conversations with people, and like just such a cool experience. Such a cool experience.
Yeah, without a doubt, it was an opportunity not to be missed next year because we got invited back. Making such a great impression to get invited back was not something I used to do on St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, never come back here ever again. You're banned for life. St. Patrick's Day. So, yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I'm so glad I got asked to come and got a lot out of it and was able to give a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Too.
It was interesting. Like we had former Congressman Patrick Kennedy had accepted an award and was talking about binge drinking on St. Patrick's Day and teenagers and all, just kind of what a problem it is. And ironically, or not so much, we went out for a walk once, like in between the festivities. There was a group of teenage boys on the side of the street in New York City at 12:30 in the afternoon vomiting because they drank too much already.
Wow.
And I was like, well, this just kind of, solidifies why we're here doing what we're doing and what's needed. It was just, and we stopped and we talked to him. And one of the women that was with us was like, you probably need to go to a meeting, guys. Like, are you okay? She really was like trying to nurture him and got teared up, and it's hard to see that when you have a group of, 5 boys who were probably 16 years old, middle of the day. Like, why aren't you in school? Yeah, it was just kind of put everything into perspective, like right in front of your face.
The genesis of Sober St. Patrick's Day that Bill Riley tells that story is that he met somebody on the side of the street like that, a kid, and he had a shirt on that said "drunk today, hungover tomorrow" or something. And it just struck him so much. That was the impetus for him to decide that there needed to be some effort to promote, responsible drinking. They weren't necessarily promoting abstinence, the group,
Sure.
but definitely responsible drinking. I mean, we were there to help anybody with addiction problems, and that was having a problem. We wanted to be able to give evidence of and any kind of help we could.
Right. And that's a real big thing with what we do is we're not judging anyone or condemning people for drinking. It's not the drinking that's the problem. It's drunkenness. It's what happens when you lose control. Right. And why is that okay for you to do that to yourself? Why is it okay? And today kids die, when they drink for the first time or they take drugs for the first time. Or so just to be a part of something that was positive was really an amazing thing. And marching in the march was a lot of fun. I gotta admit, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So the other part of why they do this is to kind of take back St. Patrick's Day. That's one of their slogans, is take back the day. Because as I'm Irish, as Irish, we all think it's a drinking day, but St. Patrick had nothing to do with drinking. He didn't do that. He wasn't. And there's some history as to how it got turned into like this big drinking day. But the Irish, in some cases, are not happy with the way it paints them.
Sure.
You know, and especially the Irish that were at this event with us. And guys, as you can see, how much fun was everybody had. We had the music people, we had the bagpipes, we had those dancers, and that was only a few of them, right? They had those little kids, the girls.
Yeah.
How old do you think they were, Lisa? Those
Maybe
little
7, 8.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Doing those Irish dances, and everybody was as happy and as engaged in the events as they were, as I remember people being happy at a party drinking, although there was no drama.
Right.
And no stuff going on. So we got there in the morning, guys, and there was a morning event, and that was where some of that music was played, and people came down, and that's when Patrick Kennedy got his award, and he gave us quite a stirring talk on you know, the state of addiction and the state of in his words, lack of effort being put forth to combat addiction.
Yeah, what I found really interesting, one of his analogies, because I always hear alcoholism and addiction compared to cancer, right? So he just kind of expanded that to me. It was we want to catch cancer at stage 1 so we can treat it and have a better chance at survival. We don't treat addiction until it's stage 4, until it's life or death, and we wait. Like, why aren't we recognizing it and providing support for people at stage 1 when they first start binge drinking and heavy drinking? And you know, that was such an interesting point. Like, we just wait entirely too long to interact and do something. And a lot of it has to do with healthcare system, you know, as he was saying, and lobbyists and money, and you know, not to get all into that, but you know, there's a lot of forces that don't want to stop people from binge drinking because they make money on it.
Yeah, he used a term that I hadn't heard before: addiction for profit. Industries, where that's what they're doing, is making money off addiction. So they're making it easier for people to get addicted, so that they can make more money doing it. And it just chilled me to when I realized what he was talking about. That is so true. When we just take it for granted. St. Patrick's Day was for drunkenness. That's what I understood when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
I was that kid on the sidewalk, you know, in Orlando, not in New York City, but, you know, I was that kid, and didn't know any different. Didn't know it was a bad thing.
Right. Right.
So.
The other thing that I thought was interesting too was, like, every time you go to the doctor, you do a medical history, right? They ask, do you have a history of cancer? Do you have a history of stroke? And they take preventative measures to ensure that you don't have a heart attack or you don't have a stroke. But they don't ask you, it might be a checkbox, but there's no detailed conversation. Do you have a history of mental illness, or do you have a history of addiction in your family? And there is evidence that there are genes that make you more predisposed to becoming an addict. And you know, so it's just, again, it's pushing it off to the side and not taking it as a medical condition. You know, it's that whole, is it a disease versus a lifestyle choice? And clearly, in the way that the medical system's handling it, in most cases, they're seeing it as a lifestyle choice, and that's hurting us as a country.
I think he was saying too, it costs, you know, the culture and people trillions of dollars, our economy, and then it makes it trillions of dollars,
right,
for some people that did it. You know, he had it so well rehearsed, and he had all that whole category to selling the addiction point. That was so powerful. I kept looking back at Dale, because Dale was sitting behind me, and we were just like, yeah, every time, but we were also like, wow, we should be saying this stuff. Like, it's part of, well, I mean, in defense, I am saying that stuff to some of the people we're talking to when we're trying to say, help us to be able to spread this message. And that's all we want to do, guys, as you guys all know. But those out there who are wondering what Came to Believe is doing and what we're trying to do, we even get that whole, you guys are too corporate thing going on sometimes. But really what we're trying to do is is spread this message. And Dale and I, before this is over, I want to talk to you guys about what Dale and I experienced in the meeting that we ran at 7:30 at night with some people. That was not so shocking to us, but it helped inspire us into what we're doing. But all we're trying to do is create opportunities for us to be able to share the idea that there is a solution and that you don't have to suffer from addiction. And anything we could do to stop people from starting, I guess we ought to be trying to do too. And that was part of that too, right? They said, how many people get started on the binge drinking of St. Patrick's Day that flips the switch and that starts them down the road?
Yeah. Yeah. It's that socially acceptable day to get bombed. And then like it, as you said, flips the switch, you know?
So just to put it into perspective, everybody, 250,000 people march in the St. Patrick's Day parade. We were one group that was sober St. Patrick's. We might have had 100 people walking. What do you think with our whole group?
Yeah, there was a good amount. Yeah.
But what percentage is that of 250,000, right?
Yeah.
0.001%.
You know, of course, we thought we were the hit of the whole parade because we were towards the back and there wasn't a whole lot of other people. So, right?
But you did say, like, so we had shirts made up that said like #sober, right? So it was clear that like what we were standing for. And people on the sidelines acknowledged it, and we're happy to see that. And, you know, I think that added an element of like, all right, yeah, it's okay to be sober and be at St. Patrick's Day parade. Like it's all good.
And all of the things that go on, the Irish dancing, the bagpipes, all of that can go on anyway. And we remember it the next day.
Right.
And we had the best Irish soda bread I've ever had in my entire life. That was the highlight for me. I'll just say that was amazing.
You're food motivated too.
I'm very food motivated.
Well, I did. I turned around to Lisa and Sarah, I think, and said it's about the best feeling ever eating this soda bread. It was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Put the preserves on, the butter and the preserves on it. And, oh my God.
You didn't even need the butter and preserves. And usually soda bread, you kind of do. It's kind of dry.
Yeah.
I guess they had the best Irish butter too. Donna said it was this, which they had. And Donna said, of course they had it. But this soda bread, you're right, guys, right? It was, oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous. So it was great. Yeah. To the point where I talked about it and the kids are like, well, why didn't you bring me home any? I was like, well, there was none left. So I went to ShopRite and got a loaf of it, but it was not the same. I was just like, sorry, kids. Here you go. They weren't happy.
I think you guys can comment on what you think too, but I mean, I know that the focus with the volunteers that were sober St. Patrick's Day and those guys doing it, a lot of that focus was the Irish focus. It was about the Irish and the music and the dancing, and our focus was end addiction, you know, and talking about. Did you guys feel like that we brought an awareness? We helped raise an awareness that of the problem while we were there, or?
I think honestly, the perception I got was everyone that was there was kind of aware of the problem. Do you know what I mean? But we were able to provide another resource for them and connect them with another way to look at recovery. You know, so I hope that some of them check out our meetings, check out our retreats, and just see what makes this a little bit unique.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we brought the solution with us. And not just the problem. We brought a solution that people could use because what we bring comes from the beginning of AA, not what's been changed in AA, but the beginning, how it was born and what the people did, and it's very simple. And I think that was intriguing to some people. That wow, I mean, there's something you can do about it other than just go to treatment. Right. You know, there's a way you can live that is different. So I think that was something we brought also, you know, and we're all lit up. we're all happy, joyous, and free. So we're walking around. We're very helpful. We're very happy to serve. We're very, but of course, every time I saw that guy walking over with his head down, I knew he's got something else for me to do. And I thought, well, I could run and hide, but that's what I'm here for. And it was very easy just to go, okay. And he just kind of look at me, cock his head, and, oh, thank you. And I just go do what he told me to do.
Yeah, he was surprised. It was interesting. He was like moving chairs around. He's like the director guy, right? Like he should be just kind of coordinating things. And he's moving chairs. I'm like, let me help you. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what I'm here for. He's like, well, I'm not used to volunteers like actually volunteering. I was like, no, like I'm happy to help. Like, tell me what you need us to do. Like, that's why we're here. Like,
so that soda bread was worth it.
I worked for my soda bread.
Well, guys, it's true. And it was the overwhelming opinion of those that were there that it was noticeable that the Came to Believe team was above and beyond helpful. And they actually said to me at the end, and I think they said to you guys too, they don't know if they could have pulled it off if we weren't there.
Right.
And the team, we always say this, right? Dale, you say this very often. We can be healthier than those around us.
Right.
And we do, embrace this idea of living our 10, 11, and 12 and living in the go and being responsible citizens and being, helpful. And so we show up.
Yeah.
And we show up.
Right.
And we walk the talk. And nobody said no. We said yes to everything. Yeah. And in some cases, did stuff they didn't ask us to do.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Because Sarah was running the thing before.
I know, right?
Before the night was over.
So they had a great team. I think it was just the numbers, like we were fortunate that we had a big group of people that could come. They had like a core team that were assigned and they were wonderful and great and did what they needed to do, but the volume of people that came, that the attendees, I mean, they needed the extra hands. Yeah. And so it was great working alongside of them and getting to know them. And, we made some great connections with people. I had a blast talking to Mark and Terrence and, Betty and everyone else that we met. So, I mean, it was just that whole relationship building again, it's that community. Mm-hmm. And we expanded our community a little bit that day and it was great. It was great. I think we touched some people. So,
and I'm focusing on our team, but I think their team was fabulous too. You're exactly right, Lisa. And I think we were more worker bees that they aren't used to having. And we freed up them to do what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
That team.
Exactly.
Tammy and Terrence and Mark were able to go and be at that higher level.
Right.
So, and they were fantastic. Their whole team was fantastic. We all did our part. The food and stuff, they were able to, just went well.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
I was amazed at how the place was transformed from when we arrived there Thursday afternoon. So, I mean, it was just an empty room and all the decorations and the tables and the whole place was transformed into a welcoming celebration place. And it was really something to watch it happen, and then to experience the camaraderie of all the like-minded people. They're all there to celebrate something that they believe in. I really liked it. It was I just kept feeling like I was very honored to be there. Like, this is really an honor to be asked to come here.
And the crowd was much bigger than they thought it was going to be. We came back and it's a little panic. We were pulling chairs out of the back, trying to get enough chairs for everybody to sit down. And I don't even think we had enough. I mean, there was a few hundred people. I mean, this was a big, they call it the Undercroft under this church in Manhattan. And it was, I bet, every bit of 300 people in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say.
Probably great. Probably good the fire marshal wasn't there.
Yeah, that's a true statement, Dale.
So along with us just, having those events and the parties, we did march in the parade, everybody. We had we had our team. They went and marched in parade, and Lisa Casera stayed back because somebody had to stay back. Next year, we'll let them march. They won't have to. Though they volunteered, to stay back.
Well, we knew that people traveled. Like, we didn't want to hold anyone back. The volunteer, like, we'll be around next year. It's all good. It's all good.
So I was really interested. I mean, I would assume, intuitively that there's somebody managing and organizing a parade like this, but I've never been part of it, right, Dale?
Yeah.
You've never been part of how they actually manage and corral everybody and get you in the right place. But we were told to go on one of the streets, and you could see that the streets were all lined up and others were at other streets. And so we were corralled at a certain street behind a group, and there was a group behind us. And then they pull you together, and then they kind of give you the whistle. And you just go and you turn and you start your walk behind the group in front of you. It was surreal to me. I don't know about you, Dale, but like just surreal. I was carrying the American flag, and there was a guy on the other end carrying the Irish flag. And, you're kind of on display walking down the road there.
Yeah. It was pretty fun. I mean, you carrying the American flag was like, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
You're the historical buff in the group, and that must have been quite an honor for you to do that. I was told to be in the rear guard, to try to make sure people stayed in line. Well, it was like herding cats.
Yeah.
Nobody's interested in being in lines. They're all waving at people on the side, and I found that very fun to connect with people in a crowd.
Yeah.
Eye contact with people and wave and watch them light up. That somebody saw me, and they wave back, and they, some people were hooping and hollering in force, and but yeah, it was quite entertaining to do that.
Yeah.
So intuitively, you might think, boy, you guys are going to get yourselves, like heckled and thrown, being the only, and that was not the case at all. The positive feedback from the audience was more than I thought there would be, actually more.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show you, like, what other events, holidays, celebrations are there that we put the same kind of emphasis on drinking, that maybe this type of movement needs to happen a little bit more, like
Right.
Memorial Day, 4th of July, it's all about getting your 6-pack, your keg, whatever it is. But, I keep seeing these memes, like, normalize not drinking. Like, when someone's like, why aren't you drinking? I remember I got like bullied one day, like, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? You pregnant? No, I just don't want to drink. Leave me alone. Like, why is it anybody's concern whether or not I'm drinking? And so I think it's just normalizing not drinking across the board is something that I think is a cultural shift that, I don't know, maybe we need to start it. I don't know. It's our new mission, right?
Like sober Christmas Eve, sober with the
New Year's Eve, right?
New Year's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then our after the New Year's virtual retreat wouldn't have very many people in it, if
Then that means we're doing our job.
We're doing our job ahead of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, so how like January is like dry January. A lot of people like give up alcohol. How does it work if you're like wasted New Year's Eve and then the bell, the ball drops? You're already wasted on day one. Didn't you just right?
You blew it.
You blew it before you even knew it. Like.
Another interesting fact, guys, was if you guys saw us, like the week before, we had the Phoenix group on with us, and we told them, we invited them to join us if they wanted to. And the Phoenix group is another group in New York City that provides community building events around recovery, community activities and things around recovery. And two of their people from New York City actually came and spent really the whole day with us and marched in the parade with us. The Phoenix team did, and were quite impressed with us as we were with them. And the result of that has been follow-up meetings that I had yesterday, and I'm going to have another one next week in California with this group. And they're just about recovery and building community and doing what we're doing. We're all after the same thing. It's just helping people out of their brokenness and find a life that is free from whatever it is, addiction. But I thought that was great that those partners showed up and really participated with us.
Yeah, that's great. That was really cool.
I
just shared a link to the Phoenix in the chat. So if you guys are in the comments, so if anyone's interested in checking it out or missed this last week, they provide free, what would you call them, extracurricular activities, really for everybody, from fitness to art to book clubs. They have virtual, they have in-person, and it's all free to support people in recovery. But they also have people who are not in recovery that just like the community. So they come too. So check it out. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Right. And that's the thing about addiction, is when you get to the place where you're isolated from everyone.
Yeah.
And you need to, and everybody has a community they can be a part of today. There's plenty of, with the Came to Believe, with Sober St. Patrick's Day, with what was that group you were just talking about?
Phoenix, yeah.
The Phoenix group. It's different groups of like-minded people get together and they build a community.
Yeah.
And that's what AA is. It's a place to go where you can be around people in a community that feel you can identify and grow and learn and not be isolated. To be and these are all good things. The more the better, because we're all so different.
Right.
We want to think we're all unique, but we have more similarities, I think. And when we find our place, we can really grow and blossom. I'd never been on an airplane before I quit drinking. I'd never been anywhere. I left the state twice as an adult, and that was to go surfing, where I drove my car all night and surfed the next day, and then drove back. And that's as far out of the state as I made it.
Yeah.
So it's really a wonderful way to live. I didn't know it was possible to live free like this.
Yeah, I think one of the things too is replacing, so I've heard people say, well, now I'm not going to the bar, I have nothing to do, I don't have my friend, but this gives you an opportunity to replace those not so great habits with better habits and meet some people who are on the same path you're on.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's community and connection, I think, is one of the most important things. And I think COVID took that away from us in so many ways. And now we're back at it. Like, was this the first time, Tom, they've done the parade since COVID, or did they have it last year?
No, they didn't have it last year.
So this was the first time back?
Yeah, this was it, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't do it last year. And that community element too. And that's why we're so open to it, guys. I go talk to anybody. These guys know. I'll talk to anybody. I'm talking to City Relief in the city. I'm talking to the homeless shelters. We've been in the shelters because we should be talking to everybody.
Yeah.
And they don't all think exactly like we do. And if we say, unless they think exactly like we do and act exactly like we can do, we don't talk to them or deal with them, we're making a mistake. It's not the right way to go. And we go talk to, listen, the Phoenix people are doing some things that we should be doing, we think are good, which I knew nothing about. And they looked at us and said, wow, you guys are doing some stuff we need to do. And they wouldn't have known. If we weren't open to go just talk to each other, just read each other's front page websites and decided something because of that, what would not have happened, right?
Right.
So we're going to keep doing it. We're going to meet everybody, talk to anybody.
Yeah. I think it's important.
We don't change our message, guys. When we teach the steps, we teach it the way it was taught back then, but we tell everybody that this is what they did. It's not Tom, Dale, or Lisa's message. It's the message they had. So we don't do anything different, but we also aren't so closed off that we say what they're doing. Who are we to say, right?
Right.
What we can say is what worked for us and what we're going to offer. That we certainly can do, and we do. Right. So,
yeah. The whole concept of working 10, 11, and 12 every day in your life means you're going to hear from God what he wants you to do, and he's going to give you the power to do it. Who am I to say what somebody else is doing is right or wrong or indifferent? He doesn't give me knowledge of what they're supposed to be doing, So it's for me, it's, I'm supposed to go and do what I'm supposed to do every day. And if everybody would just do that, miracles happen everywhere. I mean, it's just amazing.
One of the things that I heard, which we usually hear at retreats, is the whole "I never heard this before." We heard a lot of that at the table.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the evening, we were assigned, Came to Believers assigned to kind of lead an AA meeting, a recovery meeting that they wanted to have after it for anybody that was in recovery or needed support after all the events were done. So we were pulling up the rear of that too, right, Dale?
Yeah.
So Dale and I sat down in this meeting, and we were approached by somebody right before the meeting ended who was part of some recovery organizations, who was sent in to see what was going on with Sober St. Patrick's Day and support us. And we began to have discussions before the meeting. And then we led this meeting, which was very positive based as usual with us and very solution oriented. And we talked about the promises, and Dale and I both looked at each other, and their jaws dropped and their eyes were open. And it was really clear. And then they said this, that there were not meetings like this that they were aware of. We all know there are great meetings around, guys, and there's good groups and organizations. But to hear this whole group of people not have been exposed to this just positive energy that we had, it touched Dale and I. We just looked afterwards going, wow. They said, when are you going to do this again? And we're like, does this go on every week? We want to come back, right, Dale?
Yeah.
We're like, well, no, but how can we get this meeting going here at this church? And then we look at each other and go, well, this is what we're doing, guys. This is why we do what we're doing. This is why we're out looking for partners, looking for funding, so that it's not so any of us can get rich or anything like that. It's so those people could have hear this message that all saved us. Yeah. So I don't know what you felt like, Dale, but I thought that was, as much as we thought, oh my gosh, do we have the energy for this? We left energized.
The look on the people's in the meeting's faces as the meeting went on changed dramatically. As these guys they've got something I want. Oh, well, they started, speaking out and volunteering to talk. And then after the meeting, that lady from NA, she asked question after question. Yeah, but what about this? And yeah, but what about this? And yeah, but what about this? And we just kept giving her the answers that she was, oh, that's what that means. Oh, that's what, the only difference in the 12 steps, she kept talking about their book. Well, the only difference in the 12 steps is the one word, alcohol. That's the only word that's different.
Yeah.
So don't make it such a big difference. Don't stand so resistant against change, because we need to change. And this is a way you can change if you choose to. She was very impressed. And I just thought, wow, I would have never been able to talk. It was like I was under interrogation.
Yeah.
Cross-examination, and it was like, I never would have been able to made it. Keep giving her the good stuff. Just keep telling her what she, it was very cool. It was a very good moment for me personally to be a part of that, to see that.
And I bet you a lot of people have those questions, the same ones she did, and just don't have the platform or the opportunity to ask them. Like, I'd love to have her come on here and I don't know if you got her contact information, but to ask those questions and tell her what, tell us what she learned that night. And I just think it's so important, because again, it's that opportunity to ask the questions in a safe environment where you're not going to be judged or, ridiculed for thinking one thing or another. So
yeah, I have her contacts, Lisa. I've been in touch with her.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
So we should have her on, and she will have a different opinion. She does it, right, Dale?
Right?
But there's thousands and tens of thousands of people. Let's have her on.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
We'll have her on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the whole idea of anonymity. I mean, anonymity was so people could keep their jobs when they went back to work, and they had to protect the way they earned money.
Sure.
It wasn't about anything spiritual. It wasn't a driving force to. It was just so you could work, and you made amends at your workplace to your employer, and you made amends to your families, and so you had to come clean with some of this stuff, and the whole being able to be on a live broadcast and talk about this stuff. Some people won't do that because it might harm them in some way, or
I get that.
It's against the rules.
That's what I don't get, and I don't know if you guys want to or care to share. Like I've had a hard time understanding that idea of anonymity preventing you from disclosing your own struggles in a public forum in order to help somebody else, because I get that, like, that goes against tradition. Goes against tradition. I can't do that. But I mean, explain that to me. I don't know if you guys have any background on that, or am I putting you too much on the spot?
Well, I think that tradition about, we're anonymous at the level of radio, press, and TV had to do back then with Dale, you may know better, with just not letting personalities get overwhelmed by this and let somebody feel better, bigger about themselves, and let it take on a different environment or atmosphere than they thought. I mean, Clarence said it's not a program of attraction, it's a program of promotion. Clarence didn't do that. He did an article in the Cleveland Plain Dealer. He would have promoted it. Sue said he would have been okay with all this that we're doing. Wow. He would have been the first one to say we should be out there telling people about it. I don't understand it. Do you have any more insight into why they did that, Dale?
Well, when the traditions came in 1955, they had been talked about for the 10 or 15 years before that. There was like Tom said, Clarence had used the newspaper article, and people were just sending their drunk relatives on a train to Cleveland to go to his meeting. And there was a certain feeling that from some of the other AA that if they came and they went back out and drank, it gives AA a black eye. So they wanted to keep that. They didn't want that kind of advertising. They wanted it to be word of mouth type, more of advertising. But the only reason in the book they talked about being anonymous in the first edition was so that when they went back to work, they wouldn't lose their jobs.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. And I get having control of your own disclosure and not giving up someone else's anonymity. I get that. That makes total sense. But I feel like the tradition of anonymity almost reinforces the stigma of having an addiction, right? I mean, like, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
Right. Well, in my case, I've never paid much attention to anonymity because I thought it was more important to be transparent.
Yeah.
Because I was a liar. I was a secret keeper. I was a person that if I wasn't upfront with who I was, I would go back to who I was. That's the way I looked at it. That's what my wisdom was from God. So personally, I shared. Now, it did hurt me at work. I mean, people held it against me. Sure. They gave the promotion to the guy that was a blatant drunk instead of the person who had quit drinking and was recovered, because that person didn't talk about it the way I did. Yeah. And turns out it was the best thing that ever happened to me, not getting that job. So, I mean, that's just how it works in my life, because I live in 10, 11, and 12, and usually the things work out for me in the long run. That's better for me. So I don't know if that explains it for everyone better or not. But
I went almost 4 years when we worked together, Lisa.
Yeah.
And nobody knew. You didn't know.
I don't know.
Nobody knew for 4 years. And I don't, a lot of it, like, it has to do with the stigma today and the way you're just treated, not right. And we need to break that stigma. That needs to be work. And I think we're working on it. And I think there's an effort of that in the world. But a long time we worked together with this whole group of people that were very close. This group that we worked with, right, Lisa?
Yeah.
We knew everything else about each other.
Yeah.
And they just thought, Lisa said she thought I was went off to she didn't know where I was going to retreats. I didn't hide. I used to say I'm going to retreat. Nobody ever asked. Or they asked and I said, it's about.
I thought you were really involved with your church. I don't know.
Right. I didn't know what. But at one day it just became, there was a reason. I forget why I decided, but I said, it's time I started to feel like these guys are like really close friends and they're not going to be people. And maybe what it was, Dale, was they might have someone in their family and here I am close and they don't even know. And actually a couple of people from that group at work came to me afterwards and said, can you help me?
Yeah.
So I don't do that anymore.
That happened to me at work too. I mean, I actually got to help people because I was upfront with it.
Yeah.
And when I retired and went to golf school, so I'm 46 years old and I go to golf school with all these 20-something guys that really weren't sharp enough students to go to real college. So they went to golf school. And I got to do a talk on alcoholism. Not Alcoholics Anonymous, but just alcoholism.
Right.
And I still have relationships with some of those guys today because they thank me for educating them on something they didn't know what they were like I did. They didn't know what they were doing was bad for them. Right. And they had history in their family and they were headed down a road that was going to lead them to where I had gotten to. Yeah. And so you have to kind of make a decision. Well, because I pray about it. Well, God, should I tell this just happened to me at work where I work now. I won't talk about where I work now, but the place where I work now, they've decided apparently they're not sending me up in a rocket anytime soon. But I had a lady that said with utter derision, "Oh, here comes that smiling guy again." Because I'm always happy, right? It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm just happy I woke up. And I said, well, she says, they're going to take that from you if you stay here very long. And I said, nobody can take anything from me I don't give them. And she just looked at me. I mean, she cocked her head and she said, what do you mean by that? And I told her, I said, well, I'm a recovered alcoholic. And turns out her son is a recovering heroin addict. I got to spend, she's Al-Anon. I got to spend 30 minutes that day just laying it out for her, the 12 steps. Took her through the steps, in a half hour at work without the, all the formalities of it all, just kind of explained the principles to her. And from that day on, she's been completely different. When she lights up when she sees me come around. And so she got set free from something that was a burden just from that little conversation. And that's why I'm not anonymous. Because that doesn't happen. Right. If I just, can't talk about that.
Right. I mean, there's that thing. Like I talk to people all the time that they went to a retreat. They heard that one person that they identified with, and then that was it. That was that moment. And if you don't have those opportunities, who knows where you'll be, So I mean, but again, I respect everyone's anonymity. If they need to do that, that's their absolute right to do that.
Right. Don't have the right.
Right. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of that, our ability to get the word out and us being not anonymous, Lisa and I and us behind the scenes have been thinking about this Recovery Live and how we're doing this and how we could reach more people. And our thoughts are, and Lisa did some research, that there are different times of day and days of the week with which are better. So as you guys are listening to us, we are considering changing the day and time of Recovery Live. And I don't think we're considering what day to change it to, not that we aren't going to change it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think we are going
or
to
the time. So we were
right.
looking at potentially Tuesdays at 1 Eastern. I believe Fridays at 1 or 2 Eastern was an option as well.
And Tuesday, I think, 1
Yeah,
o'clock.
Tuesday
For
1.
some reason, Tuesday. And what that would do at 1 o'clock was we'd push it a little more into the evening in the UK and a little later in the morning. Like we've realized we just can't get everybody on this live stream.
Yeah.
It's because of the time zones. But if you guys have a vote or a time and you're in our
Yeah, even if
audience,
it's one we didn't mention, if there's a time that would be better
Yeah.
for you, let us know. Even if you watch this later, like I'll keep monitoring the comments. So if you're watching this later and you're like, oh man, I wish I could be part of the conversation, let us know. Like what days times work for you. And include your time zone so that we know what we're working with. You might say 8 a.m. and you're in the UK. And yeah, that we'll be like, okay, great. And that won't work. So
and the other thing we're going to do is we're going to have a permanent co-host come back with the show, and Alicia's going to come on and be the permanent co-host. So there'll always be two of us on. So that's another change that we're going to make and probably, when do you think? Sometime in April?
I mean, we already have shows planned out in April. It's looking more like May now. So I offered to be the co-host, but you know, Alicia definitely deserves it.
Lisa, who we have a hard time getting on here now.
I know, right? In the beginning, I would never come on. Now it's kind of fun. I like it.
Right.
Well, when you start doing pull-ups, Lisa, you'll be part of their club.
Mm-hmm.
Pull-ups.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting Pilates Reformer on Monday.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And Dale, what did you say you have to go do?
Well, if I'm not going to be working, I'm going to have to start working out.
You know, guys, this turned out to be the best day ever.
Yeah. Look at that influence, Tom.
Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, right?
Yeah. Jamie wants to come on one of these days, so we'd love to have you, Jamie. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're 5 minutes out.
That went to North Pennines this past weekend.
Oh yeah.
Woohoo!
So here.
You know, we have a whole team over in the UK with the same thing. They're saying the same message. It's just that message that you can be recovered, and we're going to show you how the founders did it. If you want what we have, we're going to show you the simple, straightforward process, and off you'll go to a life that might have you marching in the St. Patrick's Day parade with us next year. And, well, that's a mic drop almost, right?
Yeah. This will be the last day I wear this scarf this year, living in Florida.
I walked around for a day and asked everybody, do you have one of these scarves? You don't have one of these, do you? It shook my family up because they're like, where'd you get that? I'm like, oh, yeah. You had to be there.
You had to go.
You had to walk in the parade to be there. Well, that was great. What do we got on for next week, Lisa? Next week is
I don't even know what the date is. I'm looking at
the 31st.
The 31st.
I'm going to
be. 31st. We potentially have someone out from California, Pastor Bobby something. Because Sarah's better. She knows. But she leads, I want to say a ministry out in California. Do you remember her details, Tom?
She has a church. It's a church, but it's a
Namaste, right?
Yeah, it's a non-denominational, right. But she works steps, and Sarah had the background to it. I will be in California next week, so I don't know that I'm going to be on. I think Sarah was going to maybe try to change it because I want to be on that one.
Oh.
I may actually go meet this person in person because we're going to go right by where they are apparently. So that's in the works. So stay tuned, guys.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But it's in the vein that we want to bring anybody on that is got the same kind of influence as we do, which is that they're trying to end addiction and they're working and they're having some success with what they're doing. What the heck? we want to hear what they're doing because we honor that.
Yeah.
As they honor. If we want to be honored, we ought to be honoring, right?
Yeah.
And like Dale said before, who are we to say how they're being led? We just know how we're being led.
Right.
Right. And, you know, the big man used to go talk to everybody who we honor, right? He talked to anybody and everybody. And so will we. It's just one of those things.
So let me ask you guys, you want to do a giveaway? I'm willing to give away my Sober St. Patrick's Day orange shirt.
Whoa.
I am. Should we do one?
So that's hashtag recovered, right?
Hashtag recovered.
I can't win it, so.
You have one. You have one. I still got to find something special for you for when you won when I was hosting. So yeah, I'm thinking. All right. So we want to do it?
Sure.
All right. Hashtag recovered, guys. Comment.
How about hashtag sober? Oh, you got to have the recovered set up.
No, I have it set up that any comment will get entered. So if you've commented, you're entered. Since we're doing it at the end and didn't announce it, I'm just giving it to everybody.
So put a comment in if you're listening and you're not haven't put one in, just anything, so you'll be part of it. You get the special shirt, and you'll be the only person with the shirt that wasn't in the parade. Very special.
Yeah, and I'll wash it for you. I'll press it. I'll send it out. So if you win, make sure you send me your shipping address so I can get that out to you. All right. Do I remember how to do this? Share screen. Giveaway tool. Yeah.
Look, Autumn showed up.
Oh, just in time. She commented. She's in.
Yeah.
Okay. We got 10 entries.
Whoa.
What do you say? Anyone else going in?
What time? No, let's hit the button.
All right, here we go. Yay! At the last minute.
Oh, Autumn.
Wow, sweet. Congratulations.
Wow, right at the last minute. That was awesome.
I'll send that out to you, Autumn. Make sure I have your address, or I'm sure I can get it. But cool. That's fine.
We know where Autumn is.
Yeah, we know where Autumn is. That's awesome.
Right. All right, everybody. Well, thanks, guys, for coming on. A great discussion today, and I hope you guys got some in the audience were encouraged by it and interested with what we did. And then next year, it's nothing. Come join us. I'm certain we're going to be in it again next year. Welcome for Sober St. Patrick's Day. So everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you. We'll see you next Friday right here on Recovery Live.